Hey, Eddie Casanova here, real estate agent and investor, and today I want to talk about 5 benefits to owning your own home. So the first benefit is going to be called more for your money. And I'm going to give you my own personal example so I can better bring home this point. So we were living in a very small apartment in Brooklyn, New York, just a few years ago. And essentially we had a 2-bedroom apartment, but it was more like a glorified studio that was sort of chopped up into different pieces. We didn't have a dining room. The second bedroom it barely fit the bed. So if you live in New York, if you rent in New York, you probably know what I'm talking about. So we were kind of unhappy with the living space, so much so that we decided, hey, let's see if we can get a house for what we're paying for this apartment. And long story short, we found a nice house in New Jersey that we were able to pay the same amount of money that we were paying in rent, but we were getting a 3-car driveway, an attic, a finished basement, a front lawn. Of course, it came along with a laundry machine and dryer, which we didn't have in that previous apartment. So we turned out to end up getting much more for our money. So in some cases, you might benefit more from owning than from renting. Okay, so the next benefit is appreciation, which is essentially the increase in home value over time. And how we were able to personally capitalize on that, literally, in our first home, we saw that the home value was going up very quickly during the course of the first year. And we were so excited about that we decided, hey, why not list our home and see how much money we can get for it? And, long story short, after listing the home, we got a couple of offers, and within a very short period of time after that, we sold our home. So within a 14-month period, we were able to buy and sell our home and capitalize on the home value. Now, most people, if their house goes up in value, they're not going to sell as quickly as we did. Most homeowners are going to stay in the house for many years. But it goes to show you the power of purchasing a home in terms of being able to financially make a gain. Okay, so the next benefit is going to tie into the previous one, which is, we're going to call it accessing your equity. And what I mean by that is, like I mentioned, most homeowners, if their house goes up in value, they're not going to go ahead and turn around and sell it, right? But there's still a way for you to tap into that appreciation, tap into the equity via what's called either a home loan or a home equity line of credit. So let's say if you're able to open a home line of credit with your lender against your home. So let's say if they give you $50,000 that you can borrow against. Essentially, you can take that money and either put down on a second home, whether it be a vacation home or an investment property, or you can use it as an emergency fund, okay? There's an endless amount of things that you can do with that line of credit or home loan. But essentially, it's a great way for you to tap into your home's value. All right, so the other benefit, I'm going to call it freedom. And in this example, what I mean by freedom is freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do with your home. If you own your own home, essentially you can do whatever it is that you want with it, okay? Whether that's knocking down a wall, adding an extension off the second level, let's say a deck. I mean, the possibilities are endless. If you rent, obviously there isn't much, if anything, that you can do. The apartment, the house, if you're renting it, you have to take it as is. So the freedom to do whatever you want to do with the place in which you live, I think is a huge benefit. So another benefit, let's say, of owning a house, owning a piece of property is the tax advantages. Okay, and of course, anything that I mentioned in this video in regards to taxes, go ahead and refer to your tax accountant. Make sure that they are aware of the latest laws. Things do change, but as of the making of this video, this example I'm going to give still stands, which is essentially being able to write off the mortgage interest that you pay. So your monthly mortgage payment is going to consist of your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So that mortgage insurance that you pay throughout the year, you're able to write off in your taxes when you file them. Okay, so let's say if you pay $2,000 worth of interest during the course of that tax year, you could essentially write that off. Now, again, I would consult with my tax accountant to see what the limit is in terms of the amount of interest you can write off. But that is one of the many tax advantages, being able to write off the interest that you've paid, because essentially you'll pay anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s worth of interest during the course of the tax year. So I think being able to write that off is a huge benefit. All right, so another advantage kind of ties into the previous example, which is capital gains. I felt that we needed to sort of talk about this in its own example. So essentially, let's say if you were to sell your house, right? Let's say a few years down the line, your house goes up in value and you make $200,000 on the sale of the home. Essentially, if you're single, all of that money, you're exempt from paying taxes on, okay? And the rules are, as of the making of this video, is if you're single, you don't have to pay taxes up to $250,000 on the sale, and if you're married, $500,000. So just to kind of give you another example, if you're married and you guys sell your home 5 years later for a $500,000 profit, essentially you don't have to pay taxes on any of that. So that's $500,000 you get to keep. So imagine that. Imagine being able to keep all that money on the sale of your home. So again, I would refer back to my tax accountant if I were you, to make sure that, you know, at the time that you decide to sell your home, that the tax advantage here that I just spoke about is still in place. Okay, so those were all of the benefits that I wanted to share with you. Of course, there are many more. I might have to make a second video, but I feel that one of the biggest and best decisions I'd ever made was to buy my first home, simply because I was able to take advantage of some of the things that I mentioned in this video. So I hope that this video allowed you to make a much more informed decision as to whether or not this is a step that you want to take. And if you know anybody who's kind of struggling with this very decision, go ahead and share this video with them. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.